I mentioned pedestrian safety, so I'm just going to say real quick two things about that. First of all, we've received a grant for $70,000 from the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission. And that was to study bike and pedestrian safety. The planners and consultants that are working on this and gathering information. There will be public, public workshops to talk to you, the residents, to get your feedback on what would help make a more better community for walking and biking and the like. That we're doing in partnership with Haddon Township, by the way. And then the other part of the pedestrian safety is people have been asking me about green blocks on Haddon Avenue, right? You see these in the pedestrian crosswalks and so on. So this was something we wanted to try. We essentially call them stop, look, and wave box. Essentially, it's a safe space, and it's an area that the pedestrian can work themselves into and feel comfortable and be able to sort of be in a sight zone, just like we have bump outs, right? Like at the clock, on Haddon Avenue and on Collins Avenue here, that essentially bring pedestrians out. This sort of does the same thing in sort of a low cost, hopefully very effective manner. So that's what those green boxes are for. They're the ability to sort of increase visibility. It's interesting online. If you're online, you'll invariably run into community arguments over those thoughtless vehicles that don't stop and those careless pedestrians that don't look before they go into the crosswalk. And what I would say to you here and to everybody is that ultimately the law says that pedestrian in the crosswalk has the right of way, but nothing, absolutely nothing, is better than using caution, common sense, and all those terms. And that means for drivers, I don't think there's a place in Congress where you need to go 20 miles an hour. And for pedestrians, you have the right of way. Just make sure, make sure you're seen. And that's important because obviously your safety is important. Last thing is to talk about our water systems. Over the last few years, in our shared service partnership with Pensacola and Merchantville Water, we've invested a lot of money into our water systems. And a lot of that, what it's doing is it's improving the reliability, quality of water. It's also leading to energy efficiency and as a result, cost savings. So some good things coming out of that. We actually have a new well being built on South Park Drive, if you haven't seen it. And that's where we get our water from wells, right? And so having modernized well and in an area that engineers and all our professionals who tested the water say it's going to be sort of a better quality. That's all coming to fruition. We think by the new year we hope to have that up and running. So just wanted to give you a sense of some public works stuff. I know for most people it's the most boring stuff in life. I love it. So that's all I have to say.
Commissioner Laird? We'll get those your questions. Commissioner Laird?
So thanks all of you for coming out this rather dismal night, although we really did need the rain. So thanks for being here, and we're happy to have some rain. Even though he's not in the room right now, thanks to Jerry Chambers for always making this room so beautiful and hospitable to all of us. And it's been 20 years, and we're happy to have all the restoration that's here, and welcoming Mary Baldwin for all of her great ideas and energy to get the next phase of historic preservation and usefulness of a space that's one of the most beautiful places in South Jersey, let alone Collingswood. So we look forward to more and more usefulness of this area and all of the preservation and beautiful ideas that are being implemented. We had a gala here a week ago, thanks to a group of high energy people who think it's great to have a party and to have a fundraiser to help the continued restoration of the mansion aspect of it. So thanks to Mary and everybody who worked with her for all of that. It was a great time. Who would think that 400 people could be dressed in flapper outfits and all on point as if they're on theater? Leave it to Mary and friends for that to happen. So I wanted to tell you a couple of sustainability things going on. We still have some composters and rain barrels from last year's Green Festival. We ordered extra so that people could come along, and people have. So if you need that, just give me a call. There are some ordinances going through the borough now, like reducing plastics and banning plastic bags, and we're trying to inspire conservation of water and all of the things that will help us. You can look that up online and read about that, how we can be a real mover and shaker in the area of preserving our environment and leading with example for everyone else in South Jersey. People are talking about these things. I'm glad to see that we can show leadership in that. So wildlife habitat gardening is alive and well at Perkins on Saturday morning, along with going to our fabulous farmers market. You can stop over at Perkins and learn what you can do to your backyard to increase hummingbirds and butterflies and wildlife, so that you can use perennials. What's that?
Bees.
And bees, which is the most important. So by using perennials in your yard, you'll have deeper roots, need less water, and have greater outcome in your yard. So if you want to learn about that, stop over at Perkins this Saturday morning between 9 and 12. There'll be some experts there to chat with you for free. And congratulations to the community garden, who won 4 years in a row of being a great community garden as per the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society. Tree planting. We pick a different spot every year to try to really expand blocks upon blocks of our tree planting program, which will be the general Zane North area. So if you meet at 8:45 on Saturday, and that was supposed to be November 9th, we moved it to November 2nd because there could be rain. So by going on, and I think we're going to be able to have trees dug and ready. It's all about the trees being dug and ready. So November 2nd, Saturday. If you're interested, just call the borough, ask for me, and I'll get you there, and we'll kind of work on that. And it will go on for a week, so you can get involved in anything you want. But by doing it November 2nd, if that's rained out, we still have November 9th. If we really get into leaf collection season, it's harder and harder to have all public works helping us with planting trees, because leaf collection is a big deal in Collingswood. Other towns do it once, we do it maybe 100 times. So we really help out with that. There is a cleanup of Night Park where we kind of like rake and mulch and do some good things on November 16th. Again, it's all weather permitted, which brings me to this, the town crier. A lot of effort goes into writing this town crier. It's online and delivered to your door. If it isn't, please come up and see me, and I'll write your address and try to pass that forward. It tells you what's going on over the next couple months, and you can look up things there and look up things online to really know all the many events going on. Holidays will be here before you know it. And when that happens, please remember to shop our downtown so we can support that. I'm assuming Jim's going to talk about Halloween.
Well, we're gonna have Halloween.
Halloween will be on Halloween.
Halloween's gonna be on Halloween.
That's how we do it.
You know, we always joke about that, but when I moved into town in 1982, it was Saturday, October the 30th, 82, and people were trick or treating. We were like, "What the?" We moved from Philly. We're like, "What the? What is it? Like it's tomorrow? It's not today." But we did trick or treat on Sunday. Always since then, when I got elected, it's like, listen, important things. Halloween is Halloween.
4th of July.
4th of July is the 4th of July. When fireworks didn't used to be on Sundays either. No fireworks on the 4th of July is on the Sunday. It's the 5th. That's the next day. So Halloween will be Halloween. I don't remember. What are the times? 6 to 4 to 7, 3 to 7.
2 to 7.
What is it?
2 to 7.
2 to 7. So 2 to 7, Haddon Avenue will be its usual mayhem. We're actually having music, a little live band out, playing some spooky music is going to be out on the steps of the Zane School, just to add a little bit more atmosphere to it. So that's all going to be happening. Let me give you just a couple things. The things that people always ask about. That's Amore. That's Amore, the restaurant at the corner of Collins and Haddon. We've been through, a couple of years worth of enforcement actions, municipal court actions. Things haven't quite moved the way we hoped they would. We started a few months ago, 3-4 months ago, an eminent domain process to acquire the property because the owner had not. There have been issues there, but the owner has not stepped up and begun doing things to the property. It's really fallen apart, and so we started this eminent domain process. We had an appraisal completed. We've made an offer on the property. Have made contact with us and are saying that they'll do certain things, but we're going to need to see that's really happening. We're just next to Martin Plus, Montenegro, a restaurant that's going in there. It's been aboard for quite a while. PSE, they're waiting on PSE&G, which is that one's not within the owner's control. That's a PSE&G issue that we're trying to help them with to get done. We've gone through this with Farland. We had months and months and months delay. With Dolce, we had issues there. We've had it with a lot of businesses as they have to increase the size of their lines coming into the building to work in the street, and getting them out to do that is takes an act of Congress. Okay? It's a major, major deal. So we're working on trying to get that one done. I'll tell you a little bit about a business, just something that we did today. Had a meeting over at Catelli Brothers, just on the other side of the Whitehorse Pike, kind of behind Sagami's back there. Many of you may not even think it's Collingswood, but Furry Avenue is where the Collingswood line is. And there's a big factory-to-like building, warehouse over there. Catelli Brothers is one of, if not the leading producer of veal and lamb in North America. One of their main operations is here in Collingswood. They actually today are celebrating 30 years here in Collingswood. And the meeting was set to go over some plans for expansion and some other things that they want to do. It's a pretty amazing operation that Cassandra is going to go over and, get some pictures and stuff. We're going to advertise a little bit because I think most people will be shocked that is going on in town. It can be, for those of you not, interested in seeing a lot of dead animal body parts everywhere, it can be a little rough, but it is, there are carcasses coming in, they butcher, cut everything, package, load it up, deliver. It is like start to finish. They have 230 people are employed there. It's an amazing operation that they run. We're really, we were talking about, they got their site plan approval like the month before I was first elected. So, and I've known them ever since. Mr. Catelli, who's passed, but they run a really amazing operation. It's a great, great asset having them here. It's just something else that's going on. The other little thing, as holidays are coming, I'm just going to just throw out, we're doing a little event with a holiday light kind of trolley that we're going to be running in town, which is a little something different this year. Planning trolley to make rounds throughout town. We're going to do a little holiday house lighting contest, try to encourage people to, even do a little more than they usually do. But going to set up a little something that should be a lot of fun for families and groups to go into, just as part of kind of connect it all into the downtown, but get people out to the neighborhoods as well. Okay, so that's that. What do you what's on your mind? What do you want to talk about? Yes.
I live on East Main Avenue, and I know I presented this before, but I have a major concern with the in front of our house. I mean, we've been here for over 40 some years, and that tree probably was planted 60 years ago. Now, it's encroaching on the sidewalk. We've had the sidewalk replaced twice already, and we're gonna have to replace it again. But to me, there's no reason to replace it because the roots are underneath the sidewalk. It's in a street. I mean, this tree is enormous, and it's already damaged the curb. Someone had their car door damaged because of the curb, and I'm concerned about the major limbs that have fallen down. And if someone's walking down our street and gets injured, it's not responsible.
What's your address?
And
What's your address?
What's your address?
43 East Main Avenue. Now, I've been at meetings before. I've been to the borough and talked to Carol Sigler a year ago, and someone was supposed to come out and he's cut down the branches. One person came out and said, your tree's too high, we can't address it.
Okay.
No one else has come out.
All right,
When was that? When was that?
When was it?
Yeah.
Probably about 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay.
And
So-
they said somebody else was supposed to come out, no one's come out.
So hold
Okay.
on, let me answer you. So I met with the Shade Tree Commission Monday night and we visited at least 6 locations. I didn't have your address on it, so if I was supposed to, I'm sorry. I visited places with issues with trees so that we can look at them, take some notes, talk to someone on our board who's an arborist, and get it back to Public Works.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll
this
go.
is not the first time.
I know, but I'll go and I'll look at it and I'll call everybody for you. You tell me your phone number, I'll come over to you and I'll get that to you. So we meet every month. It's an appointed but volunteer group. They're trained and we give our information to Public Works to try to address all issues. So as soon as everybody's talking, I'll come over and get your phone number and I'll be right in touch with you this week.
And DPW, Kevin Carey's going to do those as well.
All right,
All right.
I'll come right over. Take a look at the tree. I don't mean to have you have all that trouble.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
is,
We can move on. No, go ahead.
I want to do it. Then something's
About the widening of the
Yeah.
lanes.
Well, yes, but there's lots of stuff. Wide walkways at the river.
Right.
And I just wonder if anybody knows what's going on with the plan.
I don't know specifically. Okay. So the question has to do with Cooper, at Cooper River, the county had plans to do some major work over on the river widening walkways. I know one of the things was in the river, they were gonna widen to get an extra lane, yeah. So I don't know specifically, but we can, I can find out and talk to. What's going on? Yeah, just do an update or something? Yeah, we'll try and give you an update on it. Yeah, no problem. Yes, hang on one
Along the
second.
same line, so many people walk and bike and skate on that walkway, it's wonderful. But come the first snow, the county doesn't plow, and I'd like to know who I could get in touch with to get them to
So
do that.
tempted
And
to
I would
give
get
you
as
a
many people
but I
inside
can't-
the place as I can. There's
So
all
tempted
kinds
to give
of
you a name.
people
But,
Can't use it.
contact Public Works, you can call us, and we can reach out to them.
The sidewalk part.
Yeah.
So you can,
Totally shuts down, and I take a couple hundred people using it every day.
You
And
can-
I track them.
you could use on the website, there's to report something, you can let us know that way, or you can just call over the Public Works, and we'll reach out, but you can also call Camden County's Public Works.
Okay. I wrote a letter, got no response. I wasn't sure if I was, aiming at the right target.
Yeah, I'm not so sure they do where it's like just recreation fields and stuff like that. I'm not so sure.
I think
Well,
that's
that's it.
right.
If they
Well, we
don't
can find
care
out.
enough, I get all the people to sign a petition. There's so many people, I'll just set up a table on the walkway and everybody can come by and sign.
Yeah,
That's my idea, but okay, that's fine. Yes. Uh-huh.
There's somebody that they were saying about some of the businesses.
Is there a parking limit for Haddon Avenue businesses who want to make deliveries?
I'm thinking like they probably park in that area,
Yeah, the parking lot, yeah. Uh-huh. So there's, there's
they can get.
the part, so business owners and employees can get permits, okay? Those permits are generally only good for the spaces furthest away from the businesses, okay? Theory being, we'd like to keep the spots open closest for customers. So, and those so is that the 6 hours? So some of those meters like back under the speed line
Atlantic Avenue.
are 6 hours, 6 hour timelines. But the permit's good, you don't pay attention to the 6 hour, because you have a permit to let you park there. Why do you have to talk to like the police department, because it doesn't sound like they quite get the drill. But,
So everybody who opens a business who comes to the planning board to show what their business is, 100% agrees that they will not have any deliveries, business people, anybody, anywhere on that avenue that will interfere with anything. And they all say, absolutely, we'll keep far away from that so that everybody has customers. So if they have a problem, all they have to do is talk to the police chief and find out where they can go. That's reasonable. That doesn't
Yeah,
include
UPS
So
isn't
that
part of that
everybody's still in
agreement,
business.
neither is every other delivery person. You know,
But they come and go. They come and go.
Yeah.
And nobody complains.
What's your
They're
second
there for a while.
I hope you got a better one for Woodhouse.
I wanted to think
Good.
that one. Yeah.
Noticing at night, there are certain parts, like when you come up to Buckford, where most of this area is not well. When people are crosswalk, you can't always see. So that area is also coming, like, that park, we get to ourselves.
Right.
The park, the crosswalks over there are well.
Okay.
So lighting proposals.
Yeah, so the school, we can look at doing that. The one out at by the post office, we haven't done much on that because that's one of the ones on the safe route to school, whatever the state program is that they award it to you and you get money 12 years later, I think is what part of the trouble is. But it's like, it takes forever.
Yeah, you also have to bring them.
Yeah, no, the one up at the, you're talking up by school, up by,
Well, there's two.
Yeah,
There's-
yeah,
there's
yeah,
there
yeah,
and your
yeah.
Garfield.
Okay.
They're both
yeah, that was a
right
little
there.
better. Okay, gotcha. All right, yes, Michelle, what's the person behind, yes.
Yes, I have two comments to make. One is, about Night Park. It's a wonderful resource, but there are so many potholes on Night Park, and I realize that.
Have you been there lately? Like in the
yes,
last 2
we
weeks?
live right across the street, and we moved there because I have a disability and I'd like to be able to, I have a tricycle,
Mhm.
and I find it really hard to use on Night Park. I realize that the service road I know has been fixed.
Right.
But within the park itself, there are so many potholes there. And I'm just wondering if it's on your list to do anything about that.
Well, so the borough doesn't own the park. It's owned by a private trust. So we do a lot in the park. We do a lot in maintaining it and because we use it, we make great
Sure,
use of it.
yeah.
So I'll check on what's going on. We just did a bunch of paving, which we haven't done paving forever.
Right.
And I haven't heard about any other roads that were so tough. I haven't been over to look at it myself. I did hear that we probably need to do some patching on the walkway around the park. That had some pretty good holes in it. So I'll talk with the folks at the park and see.
Okay, that would be great. And
Okay.
my second comment is about the high speed. I know I wrote a letter concerned about the noise, and I received a very prompt letter saying we're working on it. Do you have any sense of where that stands?
Well, they've done, right? They did some major work on grinding the rails in the last 2 months, I want to say. Which has, at least from our perspective, has helped a lot, has knocked it back a lot. But we've been on them for a year and a half.
From Collins essentially to the stop, it's a noticeable difference. So.
So I don't know
I
where
don't
you
know
are.
if there's
You're
another
still-
area to refer to, so let us know, but,
Still a little.
well, it's always gonna be noticeable, it's a train.
Yeah, but different from what it was before they got the new cars. It's really when they got new cars is what has made it different. And at least they explained to me that new cars, the shape of the wheels are, haven't been worn at all. The curve of the rails had worn down and didn't match the curvature of the new wheels on the cars. So they had to regrind the rails. That gap is what causes all the noise. So they did regrinding of the rails, and we at least have felt that it's been substantial. So if where you live, if you let us know afterward, if you let Kevin know, let the police chief know where it is, we'll try to notify them and see if they can take a look and see if there's anything specific in that area. But for most of the rest of the run, we feel it's been like a dramatic change. So you just check and just see, keep an ear on, let us know. Okay? Sure. Yes, Ann, we'll work on it. Yeah.
Right before I came out, and I just saw on Facebook, did the farms get rented?
Well, I don't know what I can say. I've been talking to people,
Okay.
and I think there's something. What did you read? Is there
Was
anything out
it
there yet?
official or was it?
I can't
was it
really-
scuttlebutt?
I've been kind of sworn to secrecy.
It's in the warrant.
Oh, well, if it's on Facebook, then, you know. No, what does it say?
Somebody was in the store in
What do they
Merchantville.
say? What's it say?
Somebody was in the store in Merchantville, and the people at Merchantville told them it was rented.
Okay, so we think there's something good coming.
Okay.
That's all I'm at liberty to say, okay? I think there's something good coming. All right, yes, yes. Sad that McFarland's left, but we think there's something good coming. Yes, I work right up, yes.
I sent an email to a couple days ago, and after I sent it, there were a couple things I realized I wanted to include. So I took out a little bit of advice, so I'm gonna read you this because it'll be quicker than telling you various things.
Okay.
Okay. While reading the retrospect this morning, I was dismayed to learn we are on the brink of having Airbnb approved for our kids. I never thought we'd get to this, especially since, from what I've been reading, so many issues have not been addressed. I know one person in favor and lots of people against. I believe this should be decided by a public referendum. The wishes of a few could end up negatively impacting the millions. Why isn't this law requiring homeowners to be on site and rent? That is an Airbnb option that will at least allow for oversight of any kind of situation. I have read nothing that addresses the problems of unknown vacationers sharing a wall with their Twitter tailgates or sharing a driveway. For a dozen partying friends, staying in an Airbnb for a weekend wedding, sporting or concert event, etc. Let alone the issue of safety. Now I know who belongs on the block and who doesn't. If I see strangers going into a neighbor's house, am I supposed to be interrogating them as to whether they're friends or Airbnb clients? If strangers have parked me in my driveway, how am I even supposed to know how to get in touch with them to let me out? And what if they've already walked up to the train and left the state leaving me parked in? Why are such issues dealt with in the proposed new law? Calling the police multiple times per year over this kind of issue is unrealistic. Basically, this law is asking us to police our neighbors. Terrible. Which brings me to the issue of enforcement. It's doubtful this law is enforceable. There are already rentals in town flying under the radar. As we already have rentals not being inspected, etc. Now it is unreasonable to expect the borough to be able to enforce the numerous aspects of this endeavor. Finally, I am puzzled as to why this is not being tried on a short-term basis, as the commission has determined to pass this. Other towns have tried programs on a pilot basis before approving them permanently. If I were looking for a town in the area in which to raise a young family, I certainly wouldn't be picking a town that allows for unsupervised short-term rentals, possibly right next door to my children playing outside. I am afraid that if this is passed in the future, people will look at this as the turning point for Cullen's would become inflationary.
Okay. Do you wanna, everybody, do you have views on Airbnbs, and run through?
Well, I don't think it should be an attached house or a house where there's anything that could interfere with your neighbors, and I think the driveway should be deep enough to allow cars there so it can never be on the street. But after a lot of reading and deliberation, I don't think it's a fit for us at all. I think if somebody wants to make their house into a bed and breakfast, they should go to the zoning board, change it, and have a parking lot behind it, and do all the right things in terms of zoning. I don't think a house should be a commercial use or a bed and breakfast use because it's not. It's a residential use. So I've just read endlessly to the point that I'm exhausted by it, and I can't come up with a way that it's actually a fit. Nobody's gonna make that much money from it, to make it really worth it. I also don't know how we're gonna find people on the 30th day to close them down. We have to have the site be closed on the 30th day, which means we have to have people looking at the sites all day. So I'm still confused by it. I'm still hoping that we can clean that up to make that better if it's gonna take place, because there's a lot more we have to do. to that. But I appreciate that you wrote a letter, because we've been looking at this for a year or two. And it's good to hear from people. So, thanks.
Is there a possibility of a vote?
I'll tell you what, can we just go, can we let Rob?
I'm gonna try to-
make comments?
just totally
Is that-
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's good.
So first of all, thank you. Thank you for your letter and thank you for voicing your concerns. And I think for all three of us, we're many of the same concerns. That
So can I just ask you something? Why aren't
I feel like they are. So,
So is it written into the law that if you have a shared driveway or a shared wall?
well, so you don't like the fact that, someone that has, if I'm hearing you correctly, you can tell me, that someone that has a twin should be allowed to rent or roam. Right? So that's your concern. Am I-
That's one.
Right,
that's-
okay.
that's just one concern.
I'm less concerned about setting up a two-tiered system if we can and we can't. And I feel like in our regulations, both in the permitting process and in enforcement, that we can address issues. So you can have a bad neighbor next to you, sharing a driveway, sharing a wall, no matter what. One of them could be there for 365 days because that's what their lease is. So there's no guarantees. And of course, there's a potential for issues here. Of course, anyone that says they're not are not being fair to say, oh, this is that. Should happen in everywhere and unlimited. No. But if we be strategic and we be careful about how we put this together, about permitting, about reporting, about enforcement, about the ability to take away somebody's permit if they are a bad actor, if they are not doing this properly, that all can help us. So it's not that a problem will never ever exist ever, because I can't guarantee that with any block or any place in the town. But when they do we have the tools? Have we anticipated potential problems and mitigated them beforehand, or things that happen that maybe we didn't control? Do we have enforcement? I feel like in those things we're a good point. But you do bring up another important thing about temporary. It's can you do this on a temporary basis? It's really all a temporary basis in the sense that if this goes hard, if this becomes a train wreck of problems, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring up to these two, and I'm going to advocate and say, let's change the ordinance, let's pull it back. But on that other side, if all the problems that we have are not really problems, if we're not seeing the issues that we're worried about, then maybe we can actually look at it the other way. So I think it's not just about what we do at this moment, passing this ordinance, but it's about how we implement it. It's about looking at what's going on, adapting if we have to adapt, and making sure that our community is well cared for in the ordinances that we write, and that people who want to, on a limited basis, have the ability to earn some money, to make ends meet, can do it, but in a way that doesn't create corporatized houses where someone says, it's better for me to just rent this out constantly, or to have social functions and parties we have in that ordinance that you can't do those things, right? You have that problem in Cherry Hill, where everyone's renting Muhammad Ali's house. Not going to have that. If we are, you're out. So I think your concerns are valid concerns, and they're really the same concerns that we have. We disagree on, have we met that standard or not, and we can't predict the future. But I feel comfortable that we're thinking about these things and trying to address, these instances, and we'll continue to look, to do that. If changes need to be made.
Well, a couple of the things.
Hang on, just relax. Okay, I get my chance to respond. Okay, all right. So we're I think that this ordinance is pretty restrictive. Okay, I've had concerns about this from day one. As you know, we've put a lot of energy into rental units and neighborhoods over the last many years. Okay, there is we had to do changes to this ordinance no matter what, because there are gaps in our ordinance with this new business model that has evolved, it's not specifically covered in our ordinances. Okay, my lawyer hat says we're far better to regulate and regulate tightly than we are to ban. Okay, you get in trouble, you do outright bans. Regulating it, we're much safer. This will make sure that people cannot use the short-term rentals as a business. You are not going to be able to. You're limited to 30 days a year. You can't be an LLC, create a corporate entity like a lot of towns have experienced, and buy properties and just rent them out all the time as short-term rentals. So you're not allowed to do that. We've got pretty tight fire code regulations in there to help ensure the safety of the people that stay there. The buildings have to be hardwired smoke detector. We're putting insurance limits in on all rentals now, but insurance requirements as well. So for me, this is every ordinance we adopt. It's always subject to change based on what happens. Okay. Where some of the comments that were made in our last meeting, we introduced this. We're revising some of the comments about definitions of rooms, dwelling units, like that people said that didn't make sense. We're examining that and looking at like how we can change that to make it clear and consistent. I think it's worth a try. It's something brand new that's out there. Some people would like to do it. Some people believe that it will add to the mix of town. I don't think it will hurt us with a 30-day limit and with these safety requirements that we have. We'll see how it goes. I don't think we're going to have a great onslaught. I just don't see that happen. We can't. 30 days. That's it. So we'll see what happens as we go along. Okay.
Okay, so I have a couple.
Go ahead.
The first one is when you said, well, there's a difference, you could have someone rent for 65 years instead of Georgia. Here's the difference. I mean, I live on a block where there are rental properties. And the people come in, you get to know them, you see them, we had some young guys, real nice young guys who were running, property and really like to have parties. Well, if this is a short-term rental, each new person comes in, you have no relationship with them, but various different neighbors, we contact, we approach them different times, and guess what? The parties come. So there's a big difference there. So I don't see it as equivalent saying 365 rentals.
Listen, people were doing it, like this all came about because we got neighbors complaining, okay? And the neighbors' complaints were never crazy parties going on, okay? The neighbors' complaints were, I think they're renting to someone's coming in and out all hours of the night, okay? For the most part, they were medical residents, okay? They were students they came for short-term runs for 3-4 months, and they were Airbnb and renting housing. Okay, so this all came about because of problems. A problem arose, with neighbors. We then moved to it. We put them through the process, and now we're moving to amend the ordinance to try and fix that. So at least so far, on those properties that have been doing it, as you said, under the radar, hasn't been an issue. Okay, now they're going to be regulated. Okay, now we have some. Before we didn't have any enforcement powers to go after them. All we had was you're not allowed to do this. Our zoning board decided that they're more like a rooming house, bed and breakfast. Then we don't have anything else to regulate. So you can't do it unless you go through that process. So
What
that's
happens with the shared driveway?
what
What
about
happens with the shared driveway?
the same thing that happens today with the shared driveway.
So there could be somebody renting, and I wouldn't know who they were. I wouldn't have their phone number to say I need to get out. Maybe I'm not phone number.
Well, I think things will work that out, and I think property owners will work that out between themselves. It's just the same as that they have a brother-in-law visiting for the night. Okay?
it's not the same. It's not
Okay,
the
look,
same.
I'm not. That's our view. That's where we are. Okay.
Well, the brother-in-law, or, coming overnight is gonna be on the street because there's no room in the parking.
Why? the owner's out, why isn't he parking in the driveway? Look, there's all kinds of possibilities, okay? There's all kinds of things that could happen, like Rob said. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I do not think we're gonna have a mad dash. It's expensive to fit in this regulation and this registration system, right? Those properties are not gonna automatically qualify, right? So we'll see how it goes. Yes.
I've watched you talk about this for a few months now, and I just want to say I think you're doing a great job in trying to regulate it. And I think it's a good thing for people to do this.
Well, thanks.
I just want to be on your
We'll-
side.
We'll see.
But then I had another question.
We'll
about
see.
The pumping station.
Yes.
It's a well. I haven't seen anybody drill a well. What's that?
Oh, so we're past the drilling stage now, so we missed it, darn.
I missed it.
Yes, they're doing it, exactly. Yeah, so it's right near Crestmont and South Park. You'll sort of see it. Yeah, all the infrastructure,
It's been in
the
works
water
for
treatment plant,
4
yeah.
years.
So, this sort of last stage, a lot of them were waiting for DEP approvals and like that all.
That's Green Acres land down there. We had to come up with another Green Acre spot to swap land to be able to put it there. It's been a great time with DEP. How deep is the well, Keith? Yeah, I don't know. Deep enough to get to it. I don't know. I tell you what, let me go around. Okay. Yeah, Michelle, go ahead.
I have some comments and questions about the airplane.
Sure.
Allowing short-term rentals is a complete reversal of long-term policy to encourage and maximize long-term residential occupancy in the borough. Now all homes are potential commercial rental or vacation properties attract public tax. By nursing homes, it does not include people in the borough, 13,000 plus residents actually want to offer short-term rentals. Why should everyone have to agree to this change of use in our residential homes when less than 1/10 of 1% of the population is for it? That's not correct. Not only do we have many road, twin, and multi-family homes in the borough, but even most of our single-family homes are close together. This new policy threatens our right to enjoy peace and quiet in our homes and safety and stability in our neighborhoods. And as those of us who live in rows and twin south, the walls can be thin. Thinner than vacationers, we understand or Commissioner Lewandowski or Mayor Daley for offering single-family homes. If nothing else gets changed in this ordinance, it should be strictly restricted to single-family homes. Parking. We already have a big parking problem in the borough. How are you going to guarantee that people who are doing short-term rentals will have enough space for their rentals? How can you or they know in advance how many people will be rented and how many cars they will drive? You can answer that question?
Yeah, so you have to, we haven't worked out the exact system, it'll probably be online, but as part of the ordinance is that you're required to report to the clerk or the fire department. How
I
many?
tell you what, Michelle,
So-
you gotta let him speak,
so-
and then you get to speak.
So you have to report number of visitors. First of all, you're limited to the amount of visitors by permit. Now, you could do more, but you'll be in violation of law. You can have your permit
The law
law.
doesn't say that they have to park on property.
So you want me to answer the first question or you just want to?
No, I'd
Look.
rather keep going.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then you asked for an answer, so go ahead. Why don't you
Well,
keep going and read your statement?
You keep going.
Read your statement.
30 days doesn't sound like much, but that's 15 two-day weekends. That's 4 months. Up in here, and you can have runners next door. Okay. I think this ordinance is unenforceable. Can you tell me how you will track the 31st day against 4 most popular short-term rental platforms and internet outlets like Craigslist? I don't need to ask. And everyone is really why. Manpower in the borough to make that happen. The people who want to have any benefit from it and probably lots of use want to have safety. Safety. The best way to ensure the safety of renters in the borough is to make sure all of them are long-term renters who are known to their neighbors in the event they need to be accounted for by police and fire in case of emergency. Similarly, the best way to ensure the Valley residents know, and you can be called to make sure the rental is legal. If I see 6 people entering the house next door at 11 o'clock at night, how will I be able to tell if it's short-term rental or a home invasion? If I call the police, will they have something to remember that will tell them whether these people want to come? Finally, town officials throughout the United States and abroad are trying to figure out how to put the Airbnb rental back in laws to retain the residential neighborhoods. Mayors of 10 European cities have appealed to the European Court of Justice, pleading with the court to help them support the fundamental notion that homes should be used first and foremost as residential property. We have a chance to get this right now. Please just say no to short-term rentals.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I just want to introduce myself. My name is Darren. My wife and I just July.
Oh,
She's not here. Next week.
she's going to be so disappointed she wasn't here.
Last week, she's from California. Great to meet everybody. Great community.
Where do you live? Where do you live? We're in town. Okay.
Yeah. And like I said, great community. Great to meet everyone. I've been to see my wife and I stayed here for quite some time.
Great.
Having this forum is very thoughtful. I appreciate that. Appreciate the patience. Questions you have. I don't have a direct response to Airbnb. That's something that I haven't heard before, but I would kindly ask leadership that they take all generations into consideration. 2019. No, the revolution was tell you as long as we're able to adapt, show confidence, adapt as we move forward in the 21st century. All generations, 20, 30, 40, 50, 70, 72, consideration for the education policy. After I'll come into myself. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Welcome.
Well,
You moved to Winters? You moved from California? Is that what you said?
I just moved from Central California.
So you moved to Winter. Okay. Somebody needs to talk to this. Yes.
My name
With the B&Bs? So short-term rentals you were talking about? Okay.
converting apartment houses in practice. To me, with Airbnb, it's not that. Plus, why do you want to like, I don't know the problem's big, but I don't understand why you want to benefit.
So I can only tell you what I said earlier, is that we did, yeah, so the question is, why would we want to do this? We spent so much time trying to get rid of rentals before, and, you know, how does this help us? Why would we want to do this? So the effort that we've spent for umpteen years about rental properties was about taking buildings that were single-family, built as a single-family building, and were converted over 70s, 80s, over decades, into 2, 3, 4 living units, okay? We spent 15, 20 years to try to reverse that.
Without the land.
We did not do that because people that rent are bad people, okay? We did that because having 3 households in a building that was designed for 1 put stresses on the neighborhood in terms of parking, in terms of our schools, in terms of everything. And we also, those buildings, as time went on, they first started, you know, the history was always, you know, mom and dad are aging in place, dad passes away, mom has the property. Back in the 70s, the thing to do was convert the old house to 3, right? So mom can get rental income, she can then live in the property. And then when mom passed, it sold to a guy in Norristown, okay, who did not take care of the property, okay? That's what all our efforts were aimed at for all those years, okay? They were not about, we don't want people renting any property here in town. And I know I've heard where all this push has been for single family occupancy. No, not for me. No, it hasn't been. We got a whole lot of apartments in our town, whole lot of apartments, okay? Our push has been every living quarter should be up to code and habitable, okay? So now this, what we're doing is, this is a new business model, okay? We've adapted regulations now to make sure investors can't do this, okay? You have to, in order to rent on a short-term basis, you need to be the owner resident. That needs to be your residence, okay? So we've eliminated, it's not a business operation. The people in the beginning, when this all started, where we got complaints, who were renting for, all year round, short-term rentals all year round, different people. I told them then, and it's still the way this is, you are not going to be able to do, if we do anything here, you are not going to be able to do what you're doing, okay? You are not going to be able to run it as a business. But for me, people are doing it. There's a little undercurrent that people are doing it out there. We haven't done big enforcement on. We haven't tried because we haven't had problems with them. Okay, it's not like we really don't just sit around and go, I think I saw a guy jaywalk a week ago. We're gonna go get him. Like that's not what we're out to do. We haven't had problems, but we did. We've addressed it. As we considered this, we had a fire on Haddon Ave in a rental unit where we had a pretty big rescue of 2 people out of the 2nd floor. And I'll never forget, right after it, the chief said to me, I think if this was a short-term rental, I don't know that we get that. I don't know that they make it out. And that's why we have built in a lot of fire code, upgraded the fire code requirements so that there has to be plans displayed inside so that people know how to get out. You're staying someplace for the first time, like at a hotel, there's all exits, everything's marked a different way because you don't know how to get out, okay? So we've upgraded it so that people can still do it, okay, on a short term, and we'll see how it goes. I don't think it's going to destroy our neighborhoods. I don't. I would never do it if I thought that it was. We're going to try it. There's folks that would like to do it. And I don't care how many people are requesting it. You got, Michelle, the other night, the one woman that was with you made mention about, like, we changed the law. Oh, somebody that was sitting in your area. But somebody that she made mention about bird feeders, right? And I told her, like, we changed the law for your request. Not because, and that was one person, but when we had that one problem, it was a problem that we said, this is not right. Like, somebody should not be able to do this. Somebody had planted like 20 bird feeders like on the property line, okay? And it was causing an issue for the neighbors, so we required a buffer, okay? So it's not how many people ask. It's more a function of, do we make it make sense? Do we think it's good for the town? And that's what we're doing. We put something together that's a little, we've had plenty of input, plenty of thoughts. We've made revisions based on all those inputs. Fire chief, police chief have weighed in a few times now, and we've listened to what people said Monday at our meeting. They weighed in. We listened to all that. We're making some changes to clarify some things that were raised, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's all. I don't think it's going to destroy us. I really don't. I would never in a million years look to do.
So some of the things that have to be, so I'm not for it, and that's, everybody knows that about me. But some of the things that have to be worked out is that if this happens, the police chief, fire chief, the guy on the street who's driving around at night has to know that that house is a short-term rental. That is non-negotiable. There has to be a way that we as a government work out that when this happens and you call in, it's not a noise violation. It's a short-term rental so that we know what person did that. That's different than a noise violation. We still have to work that out, and that's in policies, I guess. The cars have to come off the street. They can't be on the street. They can't be using somebody's permit to be somewhere else because that's a commercial use that's on somebody who that's their permit. It can't be that you give your permit to somebody who's renting from you as a business. There are so many little issues even to clean this up. And we have no way to say close down that. Other cities, they close it down. The 30th day, it goes off all those sites. We do not have that yet. So we have a couple of weeks before it goes to another reading that these things have to be worked out. It cannot be that we hope they keep a list of who's in the house. And we hope as we vote that if there's 5 people renting, it's not 5 cars. It has to be some really clean things so that it doesn't interfere with the quality of life. So although I'm against it, I can come up with 20 things that we have to do to make it more workable so that we don't have these things, and they have to be done. So we have a short amount of time. I hope we can come up with those things. I don't know if you talked about generational, I have 3 young sons, your age, nobody wants it with them. What they say is, I have children, I don't want that next door to me. So everybody who thinks it's cool and they're going places and doing it, that's really good. It's just that you don't really want to live next door to a bar. Or, there's things you might not want to live next to because you're young and you want your very young toddler to be able to be outside and know who your neighbor is. And we only have 2 inches between our driveways. So when I interview young people, which is everybody I work with because I'm the oldest, they're saying, no, that's for vacation. That's not here where I live. So I'm getting older people saying, you're doing what? And younger people saying, no, that's not why I moved here. And people who spend $400,000 on their house that used to be $200,000 saying, that's not what I thought I bought. So if we're going to do this, we have to clean it up so we don't interfere with people's lives. So even though I don't want it at all, I'm willing to work on all those things and see if we can make it better.
Just so you know, mine is the teens. Yes.
Should put an umbrella
Go ahead,
in.
Michelle, we're gonna go around the room. Go ahead.
Is there any way this can be changed so that it only applies to single family homes?
I'm not in favor of doing that,
Used to be.
and I don't think,
Used to be.
no, I never was, no, never.
But they have to be able to pull it.
I don't,
They have to
there's
have
no distinction between them, you can't have a distinction. We don't do that for rentals,
That's why you
we don't do it for rentals.
ban them, because you can't make a rental
Okay.
on ten.
I hear you. Okay. Who else? Yes? The limits are all part of zoning that are every square feet in bedroom, this is how many people can be in it. They do not have to be. They have to be a resident to rent it, but when it happens, they do not have to. It's just gonna be, we're gonna have to do enforcement, we have to set up enforcement ourselves. How we're gonna do it.
Doesn't exist. Not just on that one.
Oh, yeah, oh, no. Listen, there's a lot that we do in enforcement that is really hard, and you may not believe this, but people do work on houses without permits, people do all kinds of things without, and to go against the law, okay? And we, when we see it, we find out, I tell you this, but 9 times out of 10, it's a neighbor that calls us and says, that guy, I don't see a permit in his window. Like, I mean, this is an issue because neighbors brought it up to us, okay? And we're concerned about it. We'll see how it goes with enforcement. Like, we'll be setting up a system, and we're already working about how we do it with our existing housing systems, housing inspections, and how we can weave that into. Yeah, we're working on setting it all. Yes, sir.
I got a question. I watched my grandson a couple days ago, and we're going into winter, and it's going to go to training programs and community center.
How old's your grandson?
Yeah.
I don't get the library.
So the library has, first of all, is one of the great places.
This question is,
Oh, yeah.
let me repeat. Questions, programs for young children during the winter.
That Crier has a list of the library programs for the fall.
We have some extra, so we can actually give you one.
There you go. Town crier that you should have gotten home. As you listen
So
to the
4
library
is,
stuff.
4 is sort of like an in-betweener to a lot of the athletic and recreation programs, but there's a whole bunch of programs for young readers. There's Reading with Dot. There's actually Reading to a Dog for emerging readers, which is fantastic. One of the things that they've realized, that educators have realized, is that kids oftentimes read to adults correct them, they get anxious, and it hits the reading. What they've learned is sometimes kids are really comfortable with their dogs. And they read to the dogs and they become better readers because of it. So we have programs like that around. Like I said, it's sort of a tough age in between. Yeah, we'll find some things there. And
I have one the other one, Elder Chatterton. She was just a good day. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Thanks.
Problem that we had in that block is where the block right against
The trains?
the plant.
yeah,
And everybody goes way too fast.
Actually, Martin, my daughter, and my son,
Chief, Chief Carey, this is, you're,
I got it.
Write it down, okay, we'll take a look.
It's really,
Just, the only, the only difficulty with it, just know is, if we do it and fix it on yours, it just means that issue goes to the next street. Okay, just, they don't go away, just,
thank you.
we move. Yeah, you got it, no, thank the state, that's state money that we use
Thank you.
to get Eldridge numbers. Yeah,
Point.
yes, sir.
I have some clarification if you would please, on the proposed new water rate.
Well, we tabled that, and I don't know that that's moving forward.
So the water restriction as per state, giving us points so that we would follow what the state recommends, is that we ask people to do it twice a week. So apparently we're going into a crisis that we in Collingwood are in a bubble and don't really know how bad the worldwide crisis is. So we tried this and a bunch of people up in arms, but a lot of other people were saying like, thank God, we're finally realizing that water shouldn't be wasted. So right now the ordinance doesn't have, 2 days a week in it. So we have to still attack this. We still have to reduce what we're doing. And there are people who just run their water. So this was not an ordinance to go to your house and knock on your door and say, you've ordered a third time. It was really because there is tremendous waste going on. People are ordering the day after a storm. People are not watching help 20 minutes when you needed 10. So although it may be tabled or slightly altered and we're not going to get state points that we should, really we have to be educating ourselves and understanding how to make a better lawn or garden, which is to water less and have deeper roots. That's a fact. So, but we have to get educated so that we know what to do so that we can plant things that need less water so that we can survive the next era of what's happening in our planet.
So right now, it's on a bit of a hold.
It's on a bit of a hold, but could we all please try to conserve water? Right. Well, then it wouldn't matter. No one would call us. Nobody would complain. But they did.
Well, watering during the rain.
Also, nighttime water is any case of water. That's the worst time.
Probably it needs to be when the sun's not up yet or something, but give me a call, you can meet with our green team, maybe we can come up with some ideas. We're following what the state's saying. And now we're kind of not, we're not doing it. It's pulled back, it's less, but we have to, as a community, find a way to do this.
Yes,
Waste water.
yes, sir.
I'm wondering if you could, as my wife mentioned, we're moving town, and I'm not sure what's happening in Collinswood is consistent with other places, but in terms of recycling, we all know what's going on in China. They're not accepting our waste anymore. What are you doing with recycling here? And is it being burned or is it being recycled responsibly?
Well, it's 1 to 2, that's it.
So it changed.
Used to be a lot more.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1s and 2s, that's it. When in doubt, throw it out.
So
That's the
what's
county's-
happening right now
That's what
is
we're told.
the sustainability group that we have in town,
Right.
working hard to reduce the plastics and that type of thing. We're trying to look at ways of helping our businesses to use more acceptable ways of giving you takeout. Guess what? It's pretty messed up. Like a lot of things that you receive and you think are compostable are not. So we have a long way to go. We have individuals and small groups studying it to figure out what we can do to help our businesses to be sustainable in what they're giving us so that we can recycle better. Because if we can only recycle 1 and 2, what are we doing with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? So we have to bring it home less because there's nowhere to put it right now.
But if newspapers, whatever is being recycled, that is acceptable?
Yes.
Is that being
Yes.
burned or is
No.
that?
That's being
Recycle,
recycled.
recycle.
But it's all being
Oh yeah, our
recycled.
recycling is good.
I will
Yeah.
add this though. One of the challenges is we need, hopefully we're hammering this home, folks to responsibly put the right things in the recycling. Because when we get essentially a big truck that shows up at the recycling center and they see 30 or 5, 6, 7, they turn the whole truck away.
The whole
And
truck.
then 80% of it that was all good, all turns into trash as well.
And our worst culprit of this is folks that put recyclables in plastic bags and put them out for recycling. Okay?
That's not recyclable.
That's what we've gotten hit with the worst. It's not that people are putting the wrong stuff in, it's all, they collect it in their plastic bag in the house, that goes out in recycling. That's it. Okay, all right, yes,
Recycling still. I've taken it upon myself to educate myself to the Camden County rules about recycling. We follow. And it's confusing as hell. I mean, they say you can recycle number 2 plastic, but they say you cannot recycle medicine bottles. Some medicine bottles have number 2 plastic on the bottom. So can you recycle caps on containers?
no caps.
That is very bad. I went to the Republic Services website and they say you can recycle. They say to leave the caps on. There's a lot of confusion. So, taking it seriously.
Yeah.
It's totally.
I throw all my caps away because I read no. I'd
Well,
love
right,
to
right.
hear
Well,
about
I've
it.
also heard that you should leave the caps on because it makes it easier for them to pull that plastic out because it's still inflated. If it gets crushed, it's hard to pull out and it will stay more inflated. So what the truth is, I don't know. I have been trying to find contact in our public services, right?
No, they transport it.
They just take it and it goes up to Plymouth Meeting or where?
No, it used to be FCR over in Camden, right? What is it? Who is it? Who handles it? It's FCR.
Well, this is
Is
what
it
I would
still
like to know,
FCR?
because I would like to
So
go to
they're Humanity
recycling.
from Avenue. So the Republic just transports. That's all they do.
They take it to recycling in Burlington County or wherever it is.
They're right over here on Humanity from Avenue. Yeah. And they dump
Oh,
it all.
they dump it. That's
Yeah, they
the
just dump
transfer.
it there.
Okay.
That's
So
where it
where
goes.
do you go from there? I want to go to the
I
place
don't
that
know.
actually, and I'm trying to find out where this is, so I can go there. I want to go to the place where they actually do this and see, and have them tell me, this is not good for our machine, this is good for our machine.
Well, you're more than welcome to do that, but I'm just telling you, the difficulty is, it's all in flux.
Well,
okay.
it is all in.
The guy that's there that's doing it, he's not sure, okay? Because the markets have so evaporated and changed that the companies, and there's litigation that we're a part of that's going on between the county and the FCR, the company that takes it,
I
trying to
understand.
deal with all this. So it's all blown up, and everybody's trying to figure out,
I understand it's all in flux, but we still have to do it. We still have to deal with it, right?
well,
What I'm trying, the only question I have is how can I get in touch with these people to go there and learn?
So FCR, well, no. FCR, if you email Keith Hastings, we can give you the contacts at the borough minister at FCR. They're right in Mount Ebro.
Well, that's the transfer.
2201 Mount Ephraim.
Yeah, but they're the guys that do the sort. It gets dumped there, and they do the sorting there.
Okay.
So you're gonna be able to talk to guys that have been instructed. This doesn't go. This goes. You know,
That's what I want.
the guys.
You
Yeah.
need earphones and goggles.
Yeah.
I've gone.
And boots.
Oh, have you really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
That's
I've
all
been there.
one operation.
Well, I want to do.
All yours. I'll go to the meat processing again. You can go there.
No, I'll go to the recycling plant.
Yeah. It was very interesting. Yeah.
What?
But I have been trying to educate people in town. Rob, you took the test recycling challenge at the farmer's market. At the farmer's market, we're telling people, we're giving people a chance. Do you recycle this stuff? Do not. Nobody has ever gotten a purchase score, although one woman who worked at the National Zoo in Washington got 45 in a row correct before she made it.
We can all get that.
Somebody, yes.
My favorite bird.
Hi, Brandon. Go ahead, plug it.
Yes, we have the Haunted Hayride coming up on October 26th, Saturday night, October 26th at Night Park. I really want to thank Mayor Bailey, who's when, for the middle school and high school PTAs fundraising for us. And when we reached out to Mayor Bailey in the summertime, I said, is this possible? He was wonderful with helping us get our connections.
We used to do
Carrie,
it when we were
W.
younger.
We did this.
We did.
Yes, but the we moved here
Fizzled
on our
out.
house, we made it
10
last year.
I don't need any makeup anymore to scare kids.
I think it was 10 years.
Airbnb.
Yeah.
For a long time.
So, thank you so much, and Chief Carrie, thank you so much. I hope you can tell your friends, families, kids, grandkids, and let them know about it. It's only $5 a person. Under 2 is free. It's from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m.
shine. We'll have food for sale, glow sticks, face painting. We have 12 roofs lining the gazebo roofs. Spooky and scary and stuff. So for high schools, middle school, families, thank you. So please support this. It's to help with scholarships, project graduation, and a lot of programs with the schools and everything. So if you see it on Facebook, share it, like it, email us. Always looking for volunteers.
And listen, when we did it, I mean, what a hayride around the circle of the gazebo. We used to have a couple hundred people in line, like it is a blast, just a great time. Our family is again, making their presence felt. They used to be out there all day and like build a house across the road. And we had people lined up with the zip lines across trees and coming flying into the. It was awesome. People did such great stuff. It's a great time. So make sure you come.
Brenda, thank you. Because
Yeah, Brenda,
the work
thanks
that
for
you've done.
Good stuff.
really- That's all right, keep it hanging.
Johnny, do you have your? People were pushing. Don't use him as an example. I move him from summer to winter. That's not a good example. John was our director of community development for a long time. The neighborhood preservation program he talks about was on the west side state program. He did a masterful job of leveraging other dollars. We had money for people to do code repairs on their properties. We stayed on property for a few years. It was forgiven, and he leveraged a lot of different programs on so that people could get furnaces, get roofs, and live cost. So he's a big part of it. Oh yeah, and if NPP is starting to gear up again, and we'll be. So, yes.
So I know this isn't
And you can ask all day about that.
but
I can say it's not my job.
An inside story or the school what's happening.
All I know is it's coming. That's all I know. Yeah, all I know. Yeah, I know that they're. So I know that this dredging in Newton Creek, they're very dependent on environmental factors. So I don't know the specifics. We can give you a contact that you can reach out to. Does Lorraine?
Yeah, Lorraine
is on
Prince.
it, right?
Lorraine Prince of our sustainability group goes to all the meetings and is very aware of every detail. So if you write to us,
Yeah, if
we'll
you
forward it to Lorraine.
email to me, Joan will loop Lorraine in. She's here. She lives here in town, and she should be able to give you a lot of information. She's just a volunteer, but she's real involved in it, and she
serves on the committee.
Yeah,
We have
she's
a
on the-
sustainability group, but she's on the Newton Creek restoration, she's on the Sadler's Wood restoration, she's on every restoration.
So if we loop you in, you may want to get involved in it, but she can certainly give you more information than we can. Okay? Yes.
I was very pleased to see see in the town crier, the sustainability incentives that are going on. I think that's really wonderful. I'm proud to be a new resident in Collingswood that is taking a leadership role in that in the county. Can you give us an update on the use of plastic bags? Are there incentives to have people not use plastic bags? Is there any kind of campaign on to educate people?
So we just passed an ordinance to phase out and ban plastic bags.
And that's for,
For commercial, just nobody's gonna come to your house to take
no,
your
I
plastic
realize
bag.
that.
But for, so that when you go to a store or a restaurant, there won't be plastic bags
So
used.
can you give me a little more detail? Is that the next year, the year after?
Well, it starts now, but it's gonna take a year to gradually, we're gonna support people in making changes to paper bags we already have and long-term use bags that we have to support the businesses, so it's not as financially cumbersome on them. And we've been trying for 2 years with the farmers market. There's lots of campaigns for education. Don't use it, bring it in, and to help you take a bag home and bring it back. So we've been doing a lot of education, which we're gonna keep on doing. The ordinance is online.
The full effective is roughly start farmers market next year.
Year.
Okay?
So a lot of education and
Roughly
support to
start
get us there.
And will that be true of the commercial entities along Haddon Avenue?
Yeah. I've taught, I couldn't, never hooked up to talk with the guy at Primo's, because that they do use a ton, but I've spoken with Wawa corporate folks, they're all on board, kind of gave us a blessing that this was a workable ordinance. They just bemoan the fact that they've got 30 towns, I think, in New Jersey now that do it. Every ordinance is there. They're really hoping that the state steps up and does something, so that a company like Wawa can just have one rule for all their stores. Now, they have different rules in every store, and it makes it really difficult to work. So, yeah. Okay, yes, sir. Two people haven't spoken, yes.
Hi, I'm Patrick, I live in Midwood. I was curious where the program with St. Joseph the Carpenter Society ended up and where we stand with those properties.
The abandoned properties. So this is abandoned properties. We've had a program. We've worked with St. Joseph Carpenters and another group too, a group kind of like a division of Paparone Homes. They were doing some of the houses too. We started with over 100 of these zombie homes. We're down now to like under 20. It's had a great ripple effect because we've only actually done work on 2. We've only done work on a couple, but it's kind of like Dad's home. Like when word went out that like Dad's home, everybody, other banks and servicing agents started going and doing work on the properties and giving us their plans for rehab so that we didn't. It's very punitive for us to come do it because we come into the house, we do the work, spend $100,000 on the house, get permission from the court to sell the house without us ever taking title. It gets sold and we get paid first. Okay, so banks are really left to our decisions on what we're spending to fix up the house. So we've only done a couple. We've knocked it way down. In fact, the last meeting we did, we're kind of rotating. We're kind of trying to look, more what else is out there. Just make sure we're keeping up. It's been successful. It's worked pretty well. We're very happy. Yeah. Okay. What else? You have another one? Go ahead. No plastic bags. Right. I was referring more to people are using like trash bags, plastic trash bags, putting the recyclables in it, throwing that in their blue bucket, and that's what, you can't do that.
But you can put paper in a cardboard, because that's compatible. So you save cardboard boxes when you get a delivery, and you put your paper
All those
in
animals.
there. Right, but not shred. They don't like shred paper. Do you know that?
That's what I
You can't
failed
shred
to
the
test.
paper. So we pass that once. Right, you can compost shred.
That's how I got second.
That's right.
What's your? Okay.
My other thing for
That's what you should do. You should teach
Oh,
a
you
class
mean
on that.
well, it's for people that have irrigation systems. You
No,
regulate
but
that.
you know what he's saying? If you had a rain barrel, you wouldn't have to worry about that because you could water your
Yeah,
plants
yeah,
with the rain. So yes, Yes, teach, that's part of the educational program. You do
In
with
fact,
rain
in the
barrel.
draft we had, it said if you have rain barrel,
That's not part of
you need water, right? Because you capture the water.
And you could do 3 rain barrels in a row, and they're all subsidized by the borough. They cost double the amount that you pay. Come to the Great Festival and get it. By the way, I have some left over. And you can do that at home and use your own water. So it'll be a way to get that program going in New York. So if you're new people, we have composters and rain barrels that we heavily subsidize so people can do all these things in their own backyard. And it makes us have less trash to put out, and it captures rain.
What else? Yes.
I just wanted to thank you for working with that so more. I have been so irritated by that building. You know, it's been 2 years.
You are not alone.
I know, and I didn't know if anything was being done. I was about to take a window marker and say when, or, you know, some.
No, we've been on it for,
And I didn't know that, and I'm so grateful. And I hope that you can give him an end date, because I don't think he's gonna do whatever he says he's
well,
gonna do.
there's an end date. We made an offer of moving the acquire the property unless something real's going on.
Yeah, because it's right in the middle of town.
Yep.
You know, and,
It's falling down.
yeah,
There are
thank you
pieces
so
of it,
much.
some of the stuff that's coming up.
The floors are,
There's no floors.
There's no floors.
yeah.
It's gone.
Listen, they had major issues. They had a
Yeah.
sewer line blowout.
Yeah.
They had a cleaning company come in and screw it up even worse. So they've had major issues.
I know,
But 2 years, like,
yeah.
it's just not acceptable. It's not fair to the neighbors, not
No,
fair to
that's
the
it,
people
that's
in
why I'm so
businesses,
grateful. It was
everywhere around.
considerate, yeah.
Okay, anything else? Okay, that's the safe spaces. So, you guys came a little late. Yeah, see, well, you're going to detention and you will explain it there at the event. So the green is at a safe space. So it's trying to teach people that if you're crossing the street, you can walk out into that green space, hang on, let people stop, we're not in traffic, let people stop. And then you
I
move
wrote
on.
this
Just
down.
not looking away, Barry.
Yes,
Get
Real
careful,
guys.
Stand there.
that's what it is.
Is there any way to make the green space for
Well, we're trying, I've gotten yelled at that it's too bright as it is, but we'll see. Yeah, I got you. Now, it's really intended just for the person who's, walking to say, look, this is kind of where you need to go. Because a lot of people stand on the curb and then get all annoyed, the traffic's still going, and, cars don't necessarily know you're planning to cross the street. So it's
Technically,
intended
the
to get
law, technically, the law is
Yeah,
you
step out.
in the crosswalk
yeah,
for the
step
car
out.
to yield to you. They can't guess if you're going to take a step off or not. So the idea of the green area is, in some ways, to have a safe
Entice
space.
you to walk in.
I have another crosswalk question. There used to be a crossing guard near the run in middle school. On the weekends, she would have a rated stop sign, and she would help people cross the street.
Purely depends schedule. Crossing guard at Ronald's, it's just a scheduling issue.
Yeah, she retired, we're trying to find somebody to replace it now.
Doris.
We miss it.
Yes.
Has there been any information published about those green spaces so people understand what they are?
Some of the crier, but yeah, we put stuff down.
Did you have-
You missed the crier, but it was on social media, and we'll include it in the next crier.
It'll be in the next crier. This one.
Just the day.
It'll be out. Yes.
Is there any plan for new street signs? I noticed in Haddon Township, real close to Concord, there's bright red and white letters. A lot of the ones, we're on terrace, kind of shoddy.
Just let us know when replacing this with you too.
Oh, just
Yeah.
as.
Yeah. If they're-
They'll
if
still
they
be
beat up,
blue and white. Every town sort of has their colors.
Oh,
Yeah, they're red
Flag.
and blue.
We don't kind of do a
We have to be true to our school. It's blue and gold. We do that.
universal. We're close. Close. What else? Anything else? Okay.
you
All right.
for coming
Thank you
out.
all for coming out in the rain. Thank you. Have a great holiday.
All right.
Just the trees.
Mr. Hastings.
Yes.
You get a lot of it.
However, my brother. I saw this as a transfer station, but I was looking to go to the CN. And well, maybe I can do that as the next step.
Exactly.
You have to. That was what happened. I Googled Republic. And I got a bunch of stuff. Every it's like trying to find every number I called was totally either computer driven or technical driven. They're not doing the right thing here.
We need guidance back. Guidance to great stuff.
Rejected.
The guidance ratio is gonna come get all my flats.
Three or four. It's the well, that's good. I'll add that. I'm doing this as a private citizen. I'm doing this thing at the farmer's market. And I have cows. I say, okay, here's a pile of stuff, put it in the recycle. So I'm trying to add a plastic bag and put to add that businesses like that. I know my household is different. My life factor is different. So that's how we used to do it. Right. Well, I mean, you gotta watch out.
I was like,
That's probably a little slower when you roll it out.
yes, right? Stop barking. Good night.
But there are some like I said, the number two. On my website, it says no medicine bottles, and it's number two. So what is it? And then plastic. Everybody says, no, throw that out there. So on their website, they say plastic.
So there's so much confusion.
But thank you very much.
I'm gonna do that.
Good night.
Regardless, I'm not dealing with you at all.
Well, that's it. And that's the interest that new things that develop.
If we could figure out
You're going to see that. People should understand that just their chances That's right. What it is that you start noisier. I know that they because I want to know the neighborhood system will be out. What is
get a single family in a building.
My kids do.
I'll have to figure it out. Because there's
I always do that because I was
Nice to meet you too. Good luck with the job. Oh, okay.
And he likes sitting.
I always wanted to do an outdoor, outdoors on that trip.
You can send me an email, flip it out to your name, keep it up to county.
How much rental here?
Any addition.